Welcome. This podcast is a series of candid conversations exploring the human experience from a completely new perspective. In it, we will be diving deeply into the meaning of commonly used words and pointing you away from that old stressful way of looking at life and towards a new paradigm. This will help you find a sense of calm, cultivate meaningful relationships, and create harmony in every aspect of your life. Here is Navigating Life with Ease with Michaela, Ellis and Clare Downham.
Hey, Clare.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, really good. How are you doing?
I'm going to go so-so today. My sleep's a bit interesting at the moment, so
yes.
I'm all right.
Interesting. Maybe it's the time. I mean, it was your daytime when I was sleeping, but I wasn't really sleeping either. I actually got up in the middle of the night and did some squats and lunges and stuff. It's just like, this is so weird. And Rob wasn't sleeping very well either. He wasn't even in the room. He had left too because he was all stirred up. So it was just like weird. Anyways, I have a word for you.
Oh, yes. I'm excited, I think.
Competition.
Oh, now then. Gosh, that's not a word I've ever contemplated from this perspective that we talk about. But it's interesting actually because I just was reading something before we met, and it was all about how we kind of go through life with this kind of right, you've got to do well at school, and then when you've done well at school, then you can get a good job, and then you get a good job, and then you get a house, and then you get a car, and then you get married, you get 2.4 kids, and then you teach your kids to follow exactly the same path that you've followed. And you can we can all end up like, just competing for that. Like, why are we competing to be more of that? But we are, aren't we? Like, I want to when I was a kid, I was always top of the class, like academically. Me and Victoria Smith. I remember her name. That's how significant it was. Me and Victoria Smith vying for the top of the charts, probably definitely middle school. I remember that being significant, me and her. So I was really on that. Well, that's what I've got to do. I've got to get all my spellings right, and get all the and be the best, and so that definitely was a big part of my childhood. All to get what? I have no idea. Really, now when I look at it. Back then, it looked like the most important thing to be the best. It really did. To the point, in my case, of exhaustion. Because then it spread into my career in education, where it was always like, I don't know who I thought was competing against, but it felt like it was competition. It felt like it was chasing something. I mean, competing against myself almost, which is even more ridiculous. But then trying to create this, I guess, the competition to create this so-called perfect life in inverted commas that doesn't even exist. So, yeah, it's not a word I ever contemplated from this understanding. But then what's coming to mind after that is that can that be playful? Can that be fun? Can we do that in a more light-hearted way and actually have a really fun time being in, if you think about sport, people love it, don't they? Not me, but people do love sport and they love the competition of that. And so maybe it's got an icky side and a side that's more about play and joy and just doing it for the fun of it, really. So yeah, they're my first ramblings on the subject of competition. How about you? What were you? I'd like to know what inspired you to choose that word, actually.
Yeah. Well, around business for me mainly. But when I think about, like, as you were talking, there was other aspects of life that were coming up. And I always felt like, except for in running, in sprinting, like I'm a slow, long distance runner. And I used to be, I can't imagine what it'd be like now, but I used to be a fairly quick sprinter. And there, but otherwise, I seem to kind of come at things at a much slower pace than others. So, and how I noticed it, I mean, even my kids, I had my kids when I was, well, Elizabeth is 17, almost 18. And so I had her when I was 41 or 42. I can't remember. William was 3 years before that. So it was just like, there's so many things in my life that I see. I was like slower than the rest. So competition for me, and I've come to know actually fairly recently that this is just how I work. I see things maybe differently. And when I see how other people work, they work so fast. Not all, but some. I know I've mentioned that I've been dabbling in human design and learning about that. And it's really brought some things it's of the whys. And it's just like why this happens like this, why it happens like that. And it all comes down. Now let's bring it back to 3P, because the bottom line is we are all lived in a very specific and particular way by wisdom. And it shows up in a way that is incomparable and in non-competition. Instead, in how I see it in my mind, in collaboration with each other. That we're all, and you had mentioned this before, I think it was something that was mentioned at the Viva conference, about that we're here to raise the consciousness of the earth, of humanity, even beyond humanity, of all living things. And it's like, in that way, there is no competition, only collaboration with the same goal, if we're following our true nature, our true wisdom. And I could see, and one of the areas of my life where I have had like stickiness with this is in business. Because I wanted to do things in the way that I was taught 10 years ago, and I just embed. And you know me, I had, up until November, been very into other people's programs to show me how, and to make it faster and help me figure this out. And like, I couldn't hear my own wisdom around it. I couldn't hear. And there was this competition feeling that I always came in second. Or like, actually, I didn't even get to the finish line. I got skunked. Are you a crib player? Cribbage? The card game with the board? What? Oh, ooh, okay. Anyways, it's a really great game.
Can you teach it online?
Yes, I bet you there is probably an online cribbage game.
Yeah.
But yes, cribbage, we all learned as kids. I'm the youngest of 7. And that was like, it was a rite of passage for Dad to teach us how to play cribbage, because it was just one of those games. I have his old cribbage boards. Yeah, so anyway, on the cribbage board, there's a skunk line. It's like, if you're, competition wins before you cross this line, it's called you got skunked. So it's like, oh, I always felt like I was getting skunked. And now there's not really a competition because they have their business, they have mine. But I have had to just to like, this is how big this is for me. I've had to like unfollow people because I don't want to see how they do it. I don't want to see how quick they do it because I've come to realize that is not me. I'm not made to do those specific types of things in that way. It's not, I would say, a strength, but I have other strengths. So it's just like, so I had to like kind of take a, have like a, an abstinence until I can learn to trust myself more, my inner wisdom in how to do business. And it's the only way for me. No other way, no other person's way is going to work for me. I'll always get skunked. And that's not how it is at all. I'm just joking about that game. It's not, I don't really feel skunked, but for a while, it's just like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Look at how quickly they put things together and it's just like, I feel like I'm standing, like I'm, they're the road runner and I'm the wily coyote just sitting there waiting for the brick to fall. It's like, it's craziness. So I'm just seeing it more. And of course, for me, talking about something that I'm starting to see something with, it helps me see more and unwind it. So that's why I said before we got on the call, it's like, this will be good for me to hear more and just say it out loud and just kind of unwind that and really get that each and every being, yeah, you can have fun. You can have fun and compete with yourself. I started a program with someone we're creating something in 1 month. So each week we'll be doing something different. That I'm kind of in competition with myself because it's like, ooh, how focused can I stay? Because focus is a big thing for me. But as I said, in November, December, I just dropped a lot of things, a lot of other people's voices. So I'm choosing more what to bring in. So it's just like I'm creating space so I can have my own, like, how can I do this? Just me for myself and in service of others, because it is a business related thing, and in service and just see how it can be fun. See how it can be fun. And knowing that we all have a role. We all have a place. We all have a space in our non-space world to offer our energy. And it's there to support another and work with others' energy. Yeah. This came up about like maybe 3 minutes before our call started. So this is cool.
I wonder, do you have a sense of like there's some kind of interplay between the competition and the comparison? That because without the comparison, you wouldn't feel it's like the comparison's underpinning it, isn't it? That without the comparison, you wouldn't have anything to be in competition with because you wouldn't be seeing that other people's businesses are anything like ours because they're not, are they? They're just unique. And in the same thing I was reading before we came on this call, she also says something about, that the more kind of out there you are doing your own thing, the more people who like to supervise, that you're not doing life the right way, they'll all pop up and have people saying things to you online and goodness knows what. But actually, that's almost a sign that you're really stepping into your own crazy way of doing things, which is going to be perfect for you and there can be no comparison and no competition in that regard, can there? Because it just doesn't exist. if you're just doing your own crazy stuff that you want to do, you're following what is alive in you, there will be no comparison and no competition.
Yeah. And it's true, we live in this world of contrast. It's how we orient. It's how we don't, walk off a cliff because we know that, oh, that's down, far, far, far down. So there is that we'll use to orient ourselves in life. And fair enough, fair enough. And what feels good, because we'll see, we'll get it in that contrasting. Could be called comparing, but let's just keep it as contrasting, because there's no or at least for me, there's no sort of energy or emotion in that. So we can contrast, and it's just like, oh, they're doing that. Good idea. I could never do that. Or I don't want to do that. What do I want to do instead? So it's, in talking about healthy competition, maybe there is such a thing. It means a different thing in sport than in this context, maybe. It's not a bad thing unless you're trying to be or do what someone else is doing well. And it's like, it just doesn't feel good. That maybe you could do it, but maybe there's a better way. And that way is going to just feel natural and easy. And the fruit, the feeling really will be sustainable. It won't be like, oh, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. And then it's just like, oh, it's just like you hardly even can enjoy it because it was such a struggle to make it happen. And then, things can fall by the wayside because it's not it's not where or how you're meant to show up in the world naturally.
What's just coming to mind is something around separation, that without the illusion of separation, none of the competition can't exist, because it's like we're all just turning up in our own unique way as part of the one thing, that it's,
Mhm.
you and I have this wonderful illusion of separation, so we can have a lovely chat about words on a podcast, and it's handy like that. But competition has to be rooted in that separation, doesn't it? Because otherwise we'd just be celebrating, oh, well, like, I think it's Byron Katie who really saw this really deeply, to the point where she just kept walking into other people's houses because she stopped seeing separation. She's like a child, and they had to keep an eye on her to make sure she didn't just walk in some random person's house and start putting their clothes on and stuff. So because it all fell away. And I guess when we really see that, when we see that we're all, especially within a community like ours, which is where we're tending to do more of that kind of competing comparison thing, aren't we? That actually, that's just another part of who we are. It's just this energy almost just bursting out of another person. It's all the same. It's a bit like, those geysers, are they called, where the geysers, I never know how to say it, but where there's some hot spring or something under, and it's coming up in all different places, but it's all the same hot water. It's just like it's splitting up here, and it's splitting up there, and it's splitting up there, and it's all happening at different times, but it's all the same thing, really. And it's a bit like that with, sometimes, I feel like I'm going slower and other people are faster, and sometimes I feel like I'm going really fast and other people are not. But it's the illusion of separation that creates that. But we were all just actually energy moving in a together, really, in a direction. We don't need, if somebody appears to be physically further ahead in the world of form than me, then they're not really, because I'm them and they're me anyway. So it all kind of equals out, really. We need all the little holes in the ground for the water to squirt through, and we need all that hot water. Otherwise, the whole thing's going to go boom, isn't it? Really, if we don't, it isn't all coming out in different places at different times.
Yeah.
And I think that's I think there's something that Kate Northrup says in Do Less about particularly how women, when we lived in tribes, many women would cycle around the new moon, but then there would be a group who cycled around the full moon. I might have got that the wrong way around, but she was kind of saying that, while one group was fallow, I guess, quiet, not feeling so good, the other group would, they would step in and they would look after the children and make sure the berries were picked, and then it would, then they would swap over, but there would always be a group of women who were more energized and a group of women who were less energized. And that, and therefore there was this beautiful kind of evening out of it over time. And I just think that's really what's going on. But we because we're in this world of beliefs and form and everything else, it doesn't look that way.
Yeah. Celebration. You said that word about celebrating. And really that's, if we're going to talk about a competition, there's when we can start to see how unique and how needed each being is, we can celebrate whether we're still at the skunk line, because actually it's not our line. I'm on the wrong game board. That we can celebrate, because you can see how impactful each person is in their own way, in their own right. And maybe sometimes we can't even see it. Maybe they can't even see it for themselves. I'm starting to see that a lot, about how people they're not seeing their natural abilities, the impact that they are already having in their life without efforting, without trying to make impact. They're already doing it when they're not so concerned about doing it. That is something to celebrate. Yeah.
And that's when we move into that place of flow, don't we? And we're not caught up in ourselves, and we're just moving. Thank you. That was a good one. I wasn't sure where that was going to go at all. I was like, oh, that's a word I've not even thought about from this understanding at all. So yeah, that was cool. So thank you.
Cool. Thank you. I hope it sparked something in others too.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I will see you next time.
You betcha. Ciao.
Bye.
Hey, thank you for being a part of Navigating Life with Ease. We'd love to hear your feedback and receive a review on your favorite podcast platform. This will help others who'd also like more ease in their life to find us. We're here to support you, so if you've any words you'd like us to explore, or you've a question, please reach out to us at navigatinglifewithease@gmail.com. Again, thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more episodes of Navigating Life with Ease.